Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like. It's going to change the way you see dating forever. Now, I need you to be honest with yourself for a moment. How often have you caught yourself thinking, why does she expect so much from me? I'm doing everything right. Why isn't it enough? That frustration, that knot in your chest, isn't just disappointment, it's confusion. And that confusion is exactly what most men feel when they step into the modern dating world, completely unprepared for the truths that women never tell you directly. Here's the first harsh reality. Expectations are not always fair, and they are never static. A woman's expectations aren't just a checklist of qualities like funny, ambitious, confident. They are a constantly shifting set of psychological triggers that test who you are at your core. You see, attraction isn't transactional. It's not about ticking boxes or performing. It's about instinct, emotion, and the subtle signals you give off without even realizing. A lot of men approach dating thinking they can outsmart these expectations with gifts, compliments, or strategy. But what you're really up against is an emotional algorithm you weren't taught to navigate. Here's the truth most men don't face. Women are unconsciously scanning not just what you do, but how you do it. Your confidence, your calm under pressure, the way you handle tension, and yes, even the way you carry yourself when she challenges you. All of these speak louder than any words. And this isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding human psychology, about realizing that attraction is deeply emotional, not logical. The problem is, most men are blind to these signals, so they end up frustrated, anxious, and wondering why they keep getting ghosted or ignored despite their efforts. By the end of this video, you're going to see dating expectations in a way that will hurt at first, but it will also liberate you. You're going to realize why being enough is less about the surface-level checklist and more about mastering the invisible rules of female psychology that she will never tell you aloud. This isn't theory. This is the part of the dating world where most men fail silently. If you've ever felt like no matter what you do, it's never enough, then brace yourself. Because understanding this one concept changes everything. How you approach women, how you see yourself, and how you stop chasing validation that doesn't even belong to you. Let's get real for a moment. Most men think dating is about impressing a woman, about showing off your money, your physique, or your social status. And yes, those things can matter superficially. But the harsh reality is, they barely scratch the surface of what truly drives attraction. Women's expectations operate on a level you can't fake. They're not consciously listing qualities in their head. They're scanning for emotional security, consistency, and a sense that you can handle life without losing yourself. When you ignore this, no amount of effort, charm, or strategy will make her feel drawn to you. Here's what most men don't understand. Women are wired to notice energy, tone, and authenticity. That's right. How you feel, how you carry yourself, and how you respond under pressure communicates more than words ever could. You could be standing there with the perfect lines, the perfect haircut, the perfect career, and if your energy is anxious, needy, or uncertain, she feels it immediately. And when that happens, all of your efforts crumble before they even have a chance. Most men blame themselves, thinking, maybe I'm not interesting enough, or maybe I need to try harder. But it's not about being enough in the conventional sense. It's about being the right kind of presence, calm, confident, and grounded, without needing her approval. Now, I need you to listen carefully. The expectations women have are often invisible. She might say she wants a funny guy, but what she's really looking for is someone who can make her feel safe and alive at the same time. She might ask for honesty, but she's scanning for emotional reliability and depth. Most men misinterpret this as a test or a game, but it's not. It's instinctive. And when you fail to meet these subtle expectations, she doesn't think, he's failing. She just feels uneasy, and that feeling alone kills attraction. Here's the bitter truth. No amount of external validation, likes, compliments, gifts, can replace the internal mastery of yourself. Women are drawn to men who operate from inner stability, not external performance. They want a man who can handle life's uncertainty without freaking out, a man who commands respect without demanding it. And yet most men remain blind to this. They chase her attention, try to impress, and wonder why it never sticks. If you're feeling uncomfortable hearing this, good. That discomfort is a signal. It's where growth begins. Because once you understand that dating expectations are less about what you do and more about how you are, you start seeing the world differently. You stop chasing illusions and start cultivating qualities that actually matter. Qualities that make a woman feel deeply drawn to you without you having to beg for it. Here's where most men get trapped, and it's brutal but necessary to hear. You've probably felt it. The frustration, the confusion, the sinking feeling when you give your all to a woman and it still isn't enough. That feeling isn't a coincidence. It's the emotional trap of modern dating. Women's expectations are silent, shifting, and deeply psychological. Most men chase attention, validation, or approval because they don't understand the invisible rules at play. And that's exactly what creates frustration, resentment, and self-doubt. Let me break it down for you. Attraction isn't about doing more, it's about being more. Being grounded when she's unpredictable, being confident when she's testing boundaries, being calm when she's creating tension. Most men respond by trying harder, by over-explaining, by fixing situations with logic or gifts. But these tactics only push her further away. She doesn't want someone who reacts. She wants someone who responds with mastery. She wants a man who has presence, not one who is constantly seeking her validation. And here's the harsh truth. The modern dating landscape is designed to exploit insecurity. Social media, endless swiping, and constant comparison create a pressure cooker where men are endlessly judged against impossible standards. You're competing not just with other men, but with the idea of what women think men should be. That's why so many men feel exhausted, invisible, and frustrated. You aren't failing because you're lacking. You're failing because you're playing by the wrong rules, rules that were never meant to be taught. Now let's talk about the invisible signals you're missing. Women aren't just reacting to your words. They're reacting to your presence, your energy, and your consistency. A simple micro-expression, a slight hesitation, or a moment of self-doubt can kill attraction faster than anything you could ever say. Most men are oblivious to this because they've been conditioned to think dating is about strategy, persuasion, or charm. But it's not. It's emotional, instinctual, and unconscious. Here's the point most men never face. If you want to meet her expectations, you have to master yourself first. Emotional regulation, confidence, and authenticity are non-negotiable. You can't fake these things forever. Women sense it instinctively. And when you finally internalize this, when you stop chasing and start embodying, something shifts. You stop being desperate. You stop over-explaining. You start creating an environment where attraction happens naturally, where she wants to be around you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. This is the first step in escaping the trap that keeps men frustrated, overlooked, and heartbroken. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because the moment you understand these hidden expectations, you step into a power few men ever see, and that power changes everything. Here's a truth most men never hear. Women's behavior isn't random, but your interpretation of it often is. That text she didn't reply to, that cancellation at the last minute, that teasing comment that stings more than it should, these aren't personal attacks. They're signals. Subtle and instinctual, meant to gauge your stability, your emotional self-control, and your presence under pressure. Most men react impulsively, taking every small action personally, letting frustration, anger, or insecurity leak through. And in doing so, they destroy attraction without even realizing it. You need to understand that dating expectations are psychological, not literal. She doesn't need you to fix her, to convince her, or to perform perfectly. She's looking for a man who can exist calmly in uncertainty, who doesn't crumble when things aren't ideal. That's the real currency in attraction, emotional resilience. Every time you overreact, every time you chase validation, every time you let anxiety dictate your behavior, you're signaling exactly the opposite of what she's looking for. And yet, men do this endlessly, wondering why women play games or aren't straightforward. The truth is, you've been blind to the real rules all along. Here's the bitter reality. Most men misread signals because they operate from fear, not observation. They interpret her moods, her teasing, or her withdrawal as rejection rather than as a test of presence and stability. And because they're afraid of losing her approval, they overcompensate with gestures, texts, or explanations that diminish their value instead of increasing it. Women feel this immediately. It's like a radar for weakness, and attraction begins to evaporate. The more you chase, the less she feels drawn to you. But it's not hopeless. Once you begin to see behavior for what it truly is, you start responding instead of reacting. You start creating space for attraction instead of suffocating it with desperation. You begin to understand that her expectations aren't about what you do, but who you are under pressure, who you are when you're not being watched, who you are when life throws a challenge your way. That's where you become magnetic, not by charm or strategy, but by presence and mastery of self. The harshest part? Most men will never learn this. They will continue to chase, over-explain, and lose themselves, forever wondering why attraction is fleeting. But you, if you listen carefully, can step off that hamster wheel. You can cultivate the qualities women instinctively seek but rarely verbalize: calm confidence, emotional resilience, authenticity, and the quiet power of self-possession. The moment you embody these traits, you stop living under invisible rules and start creating a reality where attraction flows naturally, effortlessly, and sustainably. Now, let's talk about the expectation gap, the silent killer of attraction. Most men live in one reality, believing that if they meet a woman's stated preferences, they'll automatically earn her interest. Funny, ambitious, fit, successful, check, check, check. But here's the brutal truth. Meeting surface-level expectations doesn't bridge the gap between what she says she wants and what she feels she needs. This gap is invisible, but it controls her emotional experience, and most men fall hopelessly short without ever realizing why. Women are wired to seek emotional security, challenge, and depth simultaneously. On the surface, she may desire humor or intelligence, but what truly drives her attraction is how you make her feel in unpredictable moments, when things aren't convenient, when tension arises, when she tests your boundaries. Most men interpret these moments as resistance or disinterest and respond with frustration or effort. That's the exact opposite of what creates connection. She's not testing your worthiness to win her. She's testing your capacity to remain grounded and authentic when things are imperfect. And failing this test, even unknowingly, kills attraction faster than any other mistake. Here's the second part of the brutal truth. Women don't need perfection, but they instinctively scan for a man who can handle the imperfection of life without losing himself. Emotional availability is crucial, but it's not about being nice or open. It's about being strong yet flexible, present yet unshakable. Most men show up desperate to please, anxious to avoid conflict, and eager to perform. That energy, it's the exact signal that says, I lack stability. And no amount of texting, dates, or compliments can override that perception. The expectation gap also thrives on misunderstanding. Men think they need to convince her, impress her, or explain themselves. But convincing a woman never works. Explaining never works. Trying harder never works. What does work is embodying the qualities that close this invisible gap: consistency, calmness, self-possession, and authenticity. When you operate from this foundation, the gap disappears, not because she changes her mind, but because she feels safe, excited, and drawn to the man you've become. Most men never reach this understanding. They stay trapped, wondering why attraction is fleeting, why their efforts aren't enough, why women keep testing them or leaving. But here's the empowering truth. Once you see the gap, understand it, and begin cultivating the traits that close it naturally, you stop chasing validation and start generating authentic attraction effortlessly. It's not about tricking her, it's about mastering yourself in a way that aligns with the hidden currents of desire. Now let's close the loop with the ultimate truth that most men will never hear. Mastering dating expectations isn't about chasing women. It's about mastering yourself. Every struggle, every frustration, every moment of feeling not enough is a signal pointing to where you've been relying on external validation instead of internal mastery. The men who succeed aren't the ones who try harder. They're the ones who become unshakable, confident, and emotionally sovereign. They're magnetic, not because they have the perfect body, career, or charm, but because they understand themselves, their worth, and how to project presence in every interaction. Here's what that actually looks like. You stop reacting impulsively to her mood swings, texts, or behavior. You stop over-explaining, apologizing unnecessarily, or trying to fill voids with attention. Instead, you cultivate calmness, clarity, and certainty in who you are. She notices it instantly, not because you tell her, not because you try to impress, but because your presence communicates exactly what words cannot, that you are steady, reliable, and worth her attention. That is the real currency of attraction, the hidden code most men never crack. The most painful truth? Most men chase outcomes, her affection, her commitment, her validation, without ever realizing that outcomes follow presence, not the other way around. Trying harder or doing more will never fix what's missing inside. The moment you internalize this, everything shifts. You stop giving power to uncertainty and start giving power to yourself. You stop chasing fleeting attention and start generating lasting connection. You stop being at her mercy and start navigating dating on your own terms. This doesn't mean women aren't discerning or that attraction isn't complex. It means that the complexity is navigable if you understand the invisible rules. Emotional resilience, authenticity, and self-possession aren't just desirable, they're non-negotiable. They are the traits that close the expectation gap, dissolve frustration, and create real, lasting attraction. And here's the kicker. Once you embody these traits, dating becomes less about effort and more about choice. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're creating your own reality. So, if you felt frustrated, overlooked, or exhausted in dating, remember this. The harsh reality isn't that women's expectations are impossible. It's that most men approach them from the wrong place. Master yourself first. Build presence, confidence, and emotional resilience. Stop chasing validation. When you do this, you don't just meet expectations. You surpass them in ways that feel effortless, magnetic, and irreversible. And that, my friend, is the power most men never realize exists. It's not about being perfect. It's about being unshakable, composed, and fully alive. That is how you become a man who naturally draws women, closes the expectation gap, and navigates dating with clarity, confidence, and control.